Welcome to Seattle College's international programs and our show Conversations With, where we talk to people that help you understand how you too can be an international student in the United States and why Seattle Colleges should be your first choice. We'll talk to students and staff and agents and government folks, all kinds of people about what you can expect when you're getting ready to apply or travel here, what you'll experience while you're with us, and how it can all lead to an amazing life. Don't forget to check out the Seattle College's International Programs website at intl.seattlecolleges.edu, where you can find a treasure trove of information about the school, the programs here, and best of all, fill out and submit your application. Again, that's intl.seattlecolleges.edu. Hey everybody, welcome back to Seattle College's Conversations With here at Seattle Central in downtown Seattle, Washington. Welcome. Great guest today because you all ask me every time I'm out on the road about housing options. Mia here has some information about some housing, one of our different ways that people can live in the area, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But let's have you introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do here exactly, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. My name is Mia Bailey, and I'm from Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
You know where Boise is?
I've been there many times.
Okay.
But get a map out if you don't know.
And I've been working at Seattle Central College for about 29 years.
Wow.
It's a long time. And I am adjunct faculty.
Oh, okay.
And, I've taught all the ESL classes, I think, since I've been here so long.
All levels?
All levels.
Wow.
Yes. And also, I was the international internship coordinator.
Oh.
So we had that between, I believe it was 2000 to 2005.
Gotcha.
So we did have internship students. So I would, prepare students to do an internship.
Right.
So they would get a short-term certificate.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So 29 years, does that mean next year you get a 30-year pin from Seattle Colleges?
I believe so.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
I'm gonna make that 30-year mark, and maybe I'll make it to 40.
Wow, that's awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah. So she mentioned English language instruction. Now, there are two ways to do English language instruction in Seattle Colleges. One is through SCIE, the Institute of English, and the other is if you're more of a domestic student, someone that's here on an immigrant visa, you would probably take it upstairs with the ESL people. But different, right?
Right, and I started teaching in BTS.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, not to be confused with the K-pop group.
Yes, right.
Basic Transitional Studies.
Yeah.
And yes, that was, 2 years ago I started. In the summer.
Wow.
2 years ago, yes.
So SCIE, you've worked all levels, and you've worked with students from all over the world, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah, so what's one thing you've learned about students learning English as a foreign language in all your years of experience? I taught English for a few years when I lived in China, but I don't have nearly the breadth of experience. Like, what's one thing that you've really noticed, and that might be helpful for people that are listening, that if they're going to come study English, what would be that one thing they should know?
About studying here?
About studying English and improving their English.
I think the main thing is being confident about your abilities, because I feel that many times when I'm talking to students and, they feel that they're not, confident in their abilities. And I tell them, you know a lot and you are capable. And sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back.
Absolutely.
Right? And then maybe having that confidence will help you to maybe speak out more or, and not to be so afraid of making mistakes. Because again, if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn.
Right.
So, I just try to encourage students and to think about in the U.S., many people don't know a second language.
Right.
Yeah, right?
It's true. Do you?
Right?
Do you speak a second
Well,
language?
I do. Well, my situation, Korean was my first language, and now it's my second language. Right?
But you can get by.
yes, I did go back to Korea and relearn it.
Oh, cool.
So now maybe if students were to place me at SCIE, I might, well, they've told me, I'm like a level of 4 or 5.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Speaking-wise.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but my writing, maybe like, foundation, level 1, maybe
Right.
foundation. But just, yes, and so that's, when I do talk to students, I do mention that about the, Americans, a lot of Americans don't speak a second language. And look at how, they can write an essay in English.
Yeah.
I can't even write an essay.
That's amazing.
In a, different language. No way in Korean.
Right.
But that's, So just feeling, confident and you're like, hey, oh, yes, I do know. Maybe this is English is my second language or third language or fourth. Some of my students have. Yeah, they're able to, speak multi-languages. So
really good advice. We've all been learning other languages. We understand what you're going through, so don't worry. Just come, do your best, keep studying, keep working at it, keep improving. And I meet students sometimes when they first arrive at orientation, and they're really having a hard time, and then their English just keeps improving. It's pretty cool. By the time they're graduating with their associate's degree on their way to UW or wherever, it's pretty cool to see how far they've come.
Right.
One student in particular, I won't mention his name, but great student, spoke very broken English when he first got here. But I just ran into him the other day and he sounded much better. It's pretty cool.
It's great when I've had a student and the student was at a low level and then later I see that student and just the improvement and wow. It's really,
Okay, well, we want to talk about your educational journey a little bit too before we talk about other things. But first, let's do some getting to know you. So, answering these questions, which do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Definitely tea. Because you don't want me to, you don't want to see me after I've, been drinking coffee.
A little jittery?
Yeah. Yeah, I already kind of, have a lot of energy.
High energy.
Tea.
How come you have so much energy, do you think? Is it just in your DNA? Or
I think it's just in my DNA. I have no idea.
You're not a long-distance runner?
I was.
Oh.
I used to run half marathons.
What?
But didn't make it to a full marathon. That was kind of...
Still.
Well, it was on my bucket list, but then I kind of decided, don't need all that... wear and tear on my body, right? Yeah.
Did you find that it was a lot of wear and tear? Like after you do a half marathon, did you feel like, I really need time?
Well, yes, I needed to recoup because, there's all that, pounding on the pavement. Think about your knees and your joints. And so, I also felt like I had the flu after running. And then it would take me a few days to kind of,
even out.
But so then, later when, learning more about, just, your joints. And my sister's a personal trainer. And so she's actually, she calls herself a transformation coach now. But she would tell me things. And I thought, and she also would do half marathons. But, she decided she didn't need to do a full marathon. So I kind of, she's younger. I decided to listen to my sister.
Is she in Washington as well?
Yeah, she's in Seattle. That's one of the reasons I moved here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's go back to where you were just a young person in high school. Where did you go to high school?
Boise High.
In Boise. Boise High School.
Boise.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the name of the school?
Yeah, Boise High School.
Okay.
But from being from there, we say Boise. But if people are not from there, they say Boise.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's okay because if you don't know, you don't know. Now you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So you did high school there, and then when you graduated, did you go right into university, or did you take some time off, go fight fires, or
No, I didn't do anything about, like fighting fires. I went straight to college.
You did? Okay.
Yes. So I was, the first to go to college out of 6 kids.
Wow.
Because I'm the oldest. And so I have a sister who's 3 months younger than me. Right. But, I say she's my twin. She's not my twin. She's my parents' biological.
Gotcha.
Yeah, daughter.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was the first one out of the 6. So they all went with me to University of Idaho.
All of them went to U of I?
Well, we actually, So when my parents, they took me to school, my siblings went.
They just went.
Yeah, because they wanted, just to see, the dorm where I was going to live and to help me, just kind of adjust.
Right.
And to say goodbye. But then, but 5 of us went to U of I, and 1 went to Evergreen.
Oh, in Washington State.
Yes, that's the sister who's my age, who's not my twin.
If you guys don't know where University of Idaho is, it's in a town called Moscow, and it's in kind of central west part of Idaho.
Yes.
Check it out. It's a really nice school. We have students that transfer there from time to time. They'll start at Seattle colleges. I think U of I has a nice transfer scholarship for students that start here. Do you know any of your past students that ended up transferring there?
I don't know of any. Yes.
Yeah. I know we've had a few, and they come to our transfer fair. They set up a table and try to get people to come. But yeah, check out U of I. It's really nice. And you majored in what? Would you study those first 4 years?
Well, my undergraduate degree was in psychology.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought that I wanted to be like a family therapist and help out families with issues, but obviously that's not, where my path led me. Or
no.
I just never thought I was going to be an ESL teacher.
Okay.
But here I am.
Well, how did you stumble into it?
Well, let's see. So after I graduated, and then I wanted to go back to Korea because I got to go in '87. That was the first time. And I wanted to kind of, learn about my heritage and get to know my Korean family and relearn Korean because it was my first language. Then I lost it when I was adopted at the age of 7.
Yeah.
So, while I was there, I, heard about people teaching English as a foreign language.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay, I'd like to try that. And the very first day that I taught, I just remember being like, oh, I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
I didn't know teaching was so much fun.
Yeah.
And so I taught there for several years. And then, but still, when I came back to the U.S., and I went back to Moscow, Idaho, and I thought that I wanted to be a special education teacher because I wanted to work with children with severe disabilities. And but then I was working on my while I was working on my master's, I thought, well, maybe I should get my master's in teaching English as a second language. It just seemed logical to me. So I have one more semester of college left, but then I had completed my master's in TESOL, and I thought, okay, I'm done with school. I decided, okay, yeah. So I ended up, getting my master's degree, and then moving out to Seattle.
Moving to Seattle. And you came to Seattle just because of your sister?
Well, yes, partly that, but also growing up, I spent a lot of time in the San Juan Islands, so I spent time in Seattle, and so I was familiar, and I really liked Seattle. I was a little concerned about the rain, but I asked my sister, what do you think? Is it okay? Or she's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
No, it's not.
It's not bad.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, because maybe you've heard it rains all the time.
It's not true.
So it's not, and Seattle really, doesn't get as much rain as some other places in the U.S.
No, that's true.
Yes, that's true.
Check the charts.
Exactly.
We can prove it.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad that I moved here. I don't regret it.
No, it's a great place to live for sure. And San Juan Islands, if you don't know what that means, so Seattle's right on the water. It's on the Puget Sound, and there's a number of islands out there, and they call those the San Juans. So you can check that out on the internet if you want to. So you came out here, and did you go to work right away for Seattle colleges, or what'd you do?
Okay, so I believe I moved here. It was in June, and then I started working at Washington Academy of Languages.
No.
Yeah, and I was a tutor.
Is it kind of like a ESL school,
yes,
like
it's
Alps?
a language school, and they also, offered other languages besides ESL. And so I started off doing that, and then I thought, well, this is, I need to, have more of an income. That was not going to be enough to live in Seattle. So I started pounding the pavement. So I started going door to door. And actually, I was on my way to Alps, which is
just up the street?
Yes. I never made it there.
You stopped right here.
Yes. As I was walking, I looked up and I see this. Back then, it was Seattle Central Institute of English. And I was like, oh, what is this place? So I walked in. I had my resumes. And, I said, could I speak to the director?
Yeah.
So I did speak to the director. And I wasn't hired right away because all part-time faculty, had been hired, for that summer, and they had enough teachers. So I said, okay, I'll just wait for the phone call. And so a few months after that,
they called you up.
I got a call. Hey. It was on the answering machine. So
answering
machine.
That?
Yeah, what is that? You can tell I'm
We're from a different generation. Yeah.
So, and then, yes. I was offered a class,
nice.
Reading, Writing, Grammar 1. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was so excited.
Yeah.
So I called the school and they said, okay. And I said, yes, I can take this class. I'd be happy to. So that's how I started, that fall.
So with one class?
With one class.
Was it during the day, night? When
it was during the day.
It was during the day. Nice. So you were able to actually work at both places? It wasn't a problem?
No problem. Yeah. So, and so I did that and I did a lot of tutoring and so
SCIE, so you started there with one class and then you built up to more of a full-time schedule, I'm guessing. How many classes do you teach now?
Well, I teach 20 credits.
Okay.
So because of the fact that I teach in 2 departments. So I have 10 credits in SCIE and then 10 credits in BTS.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So normally that's what it's 20 credits. This quarter I'm doing 19.
Right.
But
and for the listeners that don't know what BTS means, can you explain that to them?
It's Basic Transitional Studies. So these are students that are immigrants, refugees, as Evan said at the beginning, where they live here.
Yeah.
When they're trying to maybe get a promotion or improve, their English so they can communicate better.
We get a lot of those students. They think they have to come to international programs.
Okay.
So they'll show up and one of us will go out there and talk with them. And once we kind of figure out what their visa status is, who they are, what they're about, sometimes we'll walk them up there.
Yes.
And then they get put on a waiting list. Usually it's very popular. There seems to be a lot of demand for that language training. So so there's a couple of options. There's the BTS training. There's Alps is just up the street. There's a language school. Now there used to be quite a few language schools in Seattle, but most of them have shut down. Is that true, or do you know?
So let's see. I believe ACES. This was on SPU campus. I don't think it's around
I don't think
anymore.
So.
Yes. And then I know Seattle University had ELS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was on campus, but they're separate. Yeah, so not part of the.
Right.
But I think they just were using facilities.
Sure.
On campus, and then they moved off campus. But I believe ELS too here.
Yeah.
And so there have been quite a few language institutes that have been. University of Washington, right?
Right.
Have their language institute as well. Yeah.
So we have a good relationship with Alps. They're just up the street. I did a podcast with Carrie not too long ago. Check it out. But we also have, for those of you who are on F1 status that are coming, we have the SCIE, the Institute of English. I don't want to talk too much about SCIE because we've had other guests on here that have talked a lot. What I'm really interested in is the homestay option that a lot of students come. They are looking for a place to live. Maybe they get an apartment off campus. Maybe they rent a room from somebody. But the other option is homestay. And you have been serving the homestay community, right, for quite a while?
Yes, so let's see. Back in 2003, it was the end of 2003. I just kind of thought about my life, and I thought, well, you know what, maybe I should start a business. And there were several reasons that I wanted to start the business, but one was to support international students. I wanted to be an advocate because I know how difficult, it is to come to a foreign country, and there are so many things that are different, and trying to navigate everything, it's can be very overwhelming. So I thought, and especially like it's so important where you stay. Do you feel safe and comfortable, right? Because it just really affects everything.
It does.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start a business. So I had never thought about starting a business. I don't have a big business background, but I thought, I'm going to do it. So I came up with the business, The Place. So it's the Pacific Language and Cultural Exchange. So I wanted an acronym that would be easy for everybody to remember. The Place is easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. So so I do my business under both names, the long and the short name. And I started out with providing tutoring.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to start small and then grow organically. I didn't want to use, or investors or...
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to start small and just do it all myself. So I started off with that. And then I believe in 2005 was when I added trips and activities. Because I wanted students to be able to, connect with students from, other classes and also other schools. So I had like trips to Northwest Trek, so you can go see animals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, kind of a little safari kind of thing. Trip to Vancouver, Canada, but now that the consulate moved out, I believe that was in 2012. So that was it's now, difficult to get. More challenging because you have to send your passport. You don't get to go just downtown and go to the office and have your visa that day. Right. So and then hiking and skiing and some other trips as well. So that was 2005. But around that time, the executive dean also asked if I could, just organize a short-term program. So they wanted to outsource. Yeah, Seattle Central wanted to outsource, use my business. So I started a summer camp for Chinese students.
Oh.
So that was, because I was asked if, for this particular agency. And I said, sure. But I didn't have any homestays at that point. But then, I was able to develop a pool of families. And some of my families have been with me for many, many years. I have a rapport with them because I want to, make sure that, I stay connected with my families. And also gives me an idea of like if, let's say I get an application and students tell me about themselves and I think about, okay, who would, which family would be a good fit, right? Instead of just say, oh, here's a family available. I'll just put this student there and that student there. Okay?
Right.
I kind of want it to be more, just give more personal attention and really kind of try to match, the students with the families.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, right?
I mean, if you're allergic to a dog, you don't want to get placed in a family. Well,
especially, yes. If a student says, I have pet allergies, then I'm not going to put you with a family with 3 cats and a dog.
Right, exactly.
or any, pets, right? Unless they have a goldfish. Right?
Sure.
That's okay.
The goldfish, probably not too many people are going to sneeze at.
Right.
But let's go back. So some people might not understand what a homestay is. Can you tell them exactly what it means to do a homestay?
So yes. So when you come, and then if you want that option, because you could choose to stay in an apartment.
Yeah,
right?
you could get an apartment on your own.
But so students that want to kind of, get a sense of what it is life like in the U.S. So you might be with a family that might be bicultural or tricultural, right? You just don't know. Because again, America is diverse, so we got all kinds of families.
For sure.
Right? It could be a single mom, it could be a single person, right? Mom and dad. Yeah, so it's just a
single person can host an international student.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but again, if I do have, single, let's say single male that wants to host, I would place a male student.
A male student, of course. Yeah.
And so, but, for students that also, it's like a stepping stone. Because again, there's so much that's, different. And so maybe, again, you want that homestay experience because, your host family will help you, right? I will also help you, but you'll get help from your host family. And I think it's just a really good way to be introduced to the U.S.
Right.
Yes. And so these families, so I don't just, if a family just contacts me and says, I want to be a homestay, I don't accept them just on the basis of that.
Right.
I have to do a home visit. I check and see, where do they live? Is it clean? Would I want to stay there? If I don't feel comfortable, why would I want to place a student there?
Right.
So I really want to make sure that it's that comfort level, and feeling safe and having a family that really wants to open up, right?
Right.
Their home to a stranger, right? Essentially, you are a stranger, but they want to treat you like you're part of the family, right? And every family's different.
For sure.
Think about the socioeconomic, status, their ethnicity, right? Yeah. And
choosing to do homestays is a really nice way. It's like being an exchange student. I was an exchange student when I was younger. I lived in Belgium. I had 3 host families. So you kind of move in and you become part of the family. It's pretty cool.
And they invite you to, do activities with them.
Right.
If you're able to, because, as a student, you'll be busy. But sometimes, you might be able to participate or do family functions.
Right.
Go to church if you want to, because some families do go to church. And if that's what you want to do, then,
So it seems like the motivations of a family to become a host family probably vary a little bit, but what do you find to be their major motivation most of the time? I mean, it's not usually money, right? They don't.
No, that could be secondary. But I do not want. That's a primary reason. No, I want a family that they say they want to learn about other cultures. That is, that's the key, right?
Right.
So if I hear that they want to share, just their cultures with them, So that's what I am looking for. Because I have families that contact me that maybe they are doing a search and they find me, online, or maybe my link is on one of the school's websites, or maybe it's a referral. But the first question I always ask is, why do you want to host? Why do you want to be a host family?
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah, usually families are just interested in that intercultural experience.
Right.
So not only are they getting that for themselves, but you're getting it from them because you're living with that American family. It's a great deal, in my opinion. I agree that transition, because coming to the United States is a little bit different, and this is a nice way. And then after do they have to sign a contract? Is it for a set period of time, or can they just...
Well, so it's not disruptive. I do have students, sign an agreement that say, or their parents if they're underage, saying that they will stay at least 3 months, right? Because that's about a quarter, right?
That's a quarter.
So then if you want, then you can move out and move in with your, friends, or move to an apartment or wherever. But we just don't want that disruption, because families prepare, they're excited, and so they want you to stay, right? But there are times when maybe it's not a good match, and I do move students if I need to, if it's a valid reason, and and I don't want students to be miserable, or the families. No, because I want it to be a good experience for both parties, right? But I don't want a student to be in a homestay if they if it's very uncomfortable for whatever reason. But we would have to talk about and see. But if there's any situation where I feel like, no, I got to move the student out right away, I will do so.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're just one of many community colleges. We're the only community college. Seattle Colleges is the only community college in the city of Seattle, but there are many in the outlying areas. Do you work with all the different schools?
So with the homestay, so students might go to,
Shoreline, Oregon Rivers.
So in the past, I did work with students going to North Seattle, of quite a few North Seattle students, all the way down to South Seattle and Tacoma. Highline. I haven't really placed students going to Highline because I don't really have families in that area. I do have a few now. or going to Bellevue College or community college. I guess it's Bellevue College now.
Right.
University of Washington.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize that UW students can do a homestay. Didn't occur to me.
So it doesn't matter which school. If I have, family that's, in that area that's, fairly close.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's too far, I'll say, well, yeah, I don't have a homestay that's close enough for you. Because I don't want students to commute too far.
45, 50 minutes.
That's about, If it's 1 hour, sometimes students don't care. If they have they think a host family is amazing, and they're like, I don't care that I have to commute 1 hour.
Right.
No problem. But again, I think about that too, because if you have to transfer twice, right? Because I think one transfer, that's normal, right? Or it's even better if you just have a direct route.
Direct is great,
right? Mm-hmm. But again, that is normal though to have a transfer,
right?
Yeah. So, but if it's get to be 2 transfers, then it gets to be lengthy, right? The commute is lengthy. So, but I also, I am actually placing, I believe I started fall quarter this past fall for Chinese aviation mechanics students that go to Clover Park Technical College.
Oh, interesting.
So I was asked, a year ago if I would be willing to take over another homestay agencies, or just, if I'd be interested in, being a homestay agency for Clover Park Technical College. So I started doing that.
I've never even heard of that technical college. They're here in Seattle?
They are in, Tacoma and Puyallup.
Oh, okay.
So
a little south.
Yes, so I have families in Puyallup now. Because they can, obviously a family cannot host.
Sure.
That lives in Seattle or in this area.
Yeah.
Right?
A couple other schools that popped to mind, have you helped anybody at Seattle Pacific, Seattle University?
Yes.
UW Bothell?
Not UW, let me think. Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
UW Bothell and Cascadia was another.
Cascadia,
I
sure.
did place quite a few students going to Cascadia in the past. Yeah, things have changed, so.
Right. Well, so if someone's interested in doing a homestay, it's just a matter of getting on your website, or do they contact you?
Yes.
Let's say they talk to me as a recruiter and they're all excited about coming to Seattle colleges. They're like, yes, I want to be in Seattle. They apply, they get accepted, they get their visa. Their next step is they got to get housing set up for themselves.
Yes.
Can you walk them through the process of how, if they don't want to get an apartment, they want that extra support through a homestay family, how do they get in touch with you, and what's the first 5-6 steps or whatever it is?
They could just go to my website. So it's theplaceseattle.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's, a place where you can download an application. There's also guidelines that you need to read and sign if you're 18 and older, but if it's a student that's under 18. So I believe I'm one of the few homestays that do place under 18 students. So
which is really important since we have the high school completion program. If you're not familiar with that, please go on our website and check it out. But you can be 16 on the first day of class and come to Seattle colleges to start working on your university degree, get both your associates and your high school diploma from the state of Washington at the same time. But you're required, if you're 16 years of age, to be in a homestay program.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would get the application, and I make it easy to pay for the placement fee, and if you need airport pickup, there's a fee.
Okay.
Yes, so you pay with a credit card or debit card on PayPal.
Okay.
So it's on my website, so hopefully that makes it easy.
Pretty easy.
Yes, so unless you have an agent that is helping you, then the agent will contact me and say, please, find a homestay or arrange a homestay for, our student or students. So sometimes I might get several applications through an agency. And so then that's when I start, checking with my families, and based on what you put on your application, try to match you up. And once I do, then I will send a profile. Yes, the family, and you'll get information like their names and address and contact information, their interests, right, their occupation, and then I also type up a profile about you based on what you put on your application, and then I will send that to the host family, and then hopefully, I'll have you'll be able to contact each other prior to arrival. 'Cause
Ideally,
that's nice.
yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes maybe for whatever reason students don't want to contact, right? They might be a little shy about it. But again, it's a chance for students to, just kind of get to know your host family a little bit, right?
Right.
Introduction, pictures, right? Send pictures, right?
Highly recommend this.
Yeah.
This is a great idea. So even if you're shy, start before you leave your home country
Yes.
of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That's a great way to grow up. Yeah.
Yes, and it's a really good idea if you don't have a place to stay that you contact, right? An agency, because a homestay agency, because if you arrive and then you're like, where am I going to stay? That happens sometimes.
It does happen.
Yes.
Hotels can be very expensive.
Sometimes students have stayed in a hotel, and sometimes, if there's a situation like that, I try to find a homestay that day.
Yeah, if
and
it's
usually it works.
Oh, good.
Works out for the most part. But you don't know, because again, if homestays are full, they can't
Right.
host another student because they don't, because I want students to have their own rooms.
Right,
So
right.
you need to have your private room because you need privacy.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's a good idea to make sure you know where you're staying before coming.
Really good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Just out of curiosity, is the airport pickup charge? Does that depend on how far they're going from the airport, or is it just a flat fee?
It's a flat fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And a lot of students ask me about food. So my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that some homestays will provide all the food, some will only provide maybe one meal. How does it work? Or do they have options?
Yes. So the traditional homestay is the most common one, which means you get 3 meals daily.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So breakfast and lunch is usually food that you can, their food is provided. You just prepare it yourself.
Gotcha.
Right. It might be things that you don't need to cook. And then dinners, I tell families they need to try to cook at least 5 nights a week, but the other nights there has to be food available for dinner. But if, a lot of families, they do cook every night. Yeah. And I also want families to interact with students. So that's a good time for them to sit and talk about, what happened that day. And if students have questions about things, or, well, I heard this, or I'm thinking about this, or just learn about each other's cultures.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a great time to interact.
And not only, in addition to all that, you're also getting to use your language skills. So improving your linguistic capabilities is a big side benefit of staying with an American family.
Yes.
Because if you're in an apartment, maybe you'll have a roommate, but your roommates generally tend to be other international students, which can be a good thing, but also, being an American family, you speak in English.
And then, there are a couple other options. You can have a homestay with no food.
Oh.
Right? And the price obviously is different. It's going to be lower.
Right.
And, a homestay with and get 3 meals. Also, let's see, there are students that have breakfast and dinner, but no lunch.
But no lunch, yeah. Which would make sense since they're usually out and about studying or whatever.
Yes.
So if they decide to do a homestay, they have to decide on which option, and then they get a price. Do they have to pay for a chunk of time all at once, or is this a month to month?
It's month to month.
It is month to month. And is it an automatic withdrawal from a bank account, or do they just pay with a credit card every month?
Well, it depends on the student and the family, right? Because they can work it out.
Okay.
So some students will pay cash, some will pay via Zelle or Venmo, or there's a direct transfer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or
So-
a check.
So they're not paying you and then you are paying the family. How does it work?
Correct.
Okay.
So unless it's a pass-through, which I'm considered a pass-through agency.
Okay.
This is, for example, I work with a Japanese company, and I place their students fall and spring. And so sometimes, depending on because they have different programs, so I will need to pay the stipend to the families. So this agency or company pays me,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I just write same amount because it goes in and out.
Tracks
That's
it out.
it,
Yeah,
in and
yeah,
out. Yeah. Otherwise, but the majority of the time it's the
Gotcha.
directly to the families. So I don't take off anything from that stipend
Gotcha. Yeah.
each month. Yeah,
No, a lot of
goes directly.
a lot of students that I'm talking to that are thinking of coming, they're trying to figure out their budget. It's like, I have to pay for my first quarter. I have to pay for all 3 of those months. But they're able to space out their month to month rent for
So and then
homestay.
exactly. So if they came like today, right? And today's the 23rd, then they would pay on the 23rd of every month.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It wouldn't prorate it.
It's
to
not
the beginning.
prorated because it makes it kind of this is clearer. I think,
Sure,
for
no,
everybody.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so they get food, they get a place to sleep. I mean, do they get any? I mean, they get a bed, obviously. They don't have
Yes.
to have any furniture.
And bedding. So bedding is provided.
Oh, it
and
is.
towels. Unless you have a favorite pillow, sometimes students do bring their own pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or sheets. I mean, you don't need to bring sheets, but actually, this is more American thing anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
Some people like their own
Europe,
stuff.
Yeah. So that's okay. But just know that your host families will have all that. Laundry detergent, cleaning products.
I didn't even ask about that. Yeah.
Things like that. And towels, they all are provided.
So they're just given access to a washer and dryer?
Yes, so the families will show you how to use a washer and dryer. Most of it's rare if a host mother or father will do your laundry for you.
Gotcha.
But there are, some cases where they want to do the laundry for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but otherwise, right?
That's the family I would
students
want.
have to, you don't want to do your own laundry.
I don't mind doing my laundry.
So students will have to do their own laundry. So again, you have to just follow the rules of the family,
Sure.
like when you can do laundry, and maybe you can't do it late at night because right? Yeah, because of the noise, or it's disruptive, or so you don't want to be up at 3 a.m. doing laundry.
No.
Right? Yeah.
And I did just interview a student who did a homestay, and he said that that there was a rule that they had to be in the house by 10 o'clock at night. Is that normal? Or is it just family by family?
Yeah,
dependent?
so I tell students you have to follow the rules of your host family. But if you're 18 and older, you're an adult, and you let the family know what's going on, because communication is very important.
Super important.
Right? So maybe they might say, okay, we'll just be back at a certain time, but maybe not 10 o'clock. But but if you're going to come later after 12, let's say, maybe then you need to stay elsewhere, because but typically this is not an issue in the years that I've been doing this business, where but if if you're a minor, maybe families might say 10 o'clock, because they
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just because you are not an adult. Yeah, and they're just want to make sure you're okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they're responsible.
Yeah, they're responsible. They feel like, okay, you're living under my roof. I need to make sure you are safe.
Safe. Yeah, which is really important. I just remember when I went to school, every once in a while I'd want to go to a concert. Concerts are not usually finished by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So I think the communication piece is what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yes. Sure. If you're not going to come home for dinner, you need to mention that.
Yes.
So your host family's not sitting there waiting for you, and your food is getting cold.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
But maybe they'll put it in the refrigerator and have it, for you when you come home.
Yeah.
So it's so important.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I remember when I was an exchange student, which is not too dissimilar, one of the first conversations I had with my family are like, what am I responsible for in the house? What chores do I need to do? Do I need to clean? And some had chores for me. Some said, no, nothing required. What do you find with most host families?
So I do have families talk to their students within the first week about rules.
Good. Okay.
So just to get that out of the way and everybody's clear on the same page. I think typically families just want you to keep your room clean, right?
No pizza boxes laying all over the room.
And probably don't eat in your bedroom. Okay, just because of bugs. You don't want little yeah.
You don't want to attract critters. That's
exactly.
for sure.
So, or maybe keep the bathroom clean might be another one.
Yeah.
Because you probably will be sharing a bathroom, maybe with the host family or maybe with another student. In rare cases, you might have your own bathroom. Yeah. But
how lucky would that be?
That doesn't usually happen. But so they're not going to make you clean the whole house. I do not want. No,
you're not there to be a servant.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe just keep your room clean and make sure you don't leave your belongings, in the areas where everybody uses, right? The communal areas, like living room and kitchen.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't want to leave your, stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So make sure just keep it in your room.
Right. Now, you've mentioned a couple times, and the guy I talked to, interviewed, he said that he had multiple international students in the same household. Is that common? Is it more common to have it that way?
Yes. Well, again, it depends on the host family, because if they have extra rooms, right? Some families have 3 rooms that are vacant, and then they take 3 students.
That's awesome.
And also families, I don't tell them that have to work exclusively with me. They might work with another homestay agency, and they might have a student or 2 students with that agency, and then and I place a 3rd student with them. But again, if they have room, then yes. But I don't want students in the same room that don't even know each other.
Well, right.
Or somebody else in that room. No. You need to have your own room.
Yes.
Unless you say, well, I'm coming with my brother or sister, or
that makes sense.
My cousin, and we want to be in the same room. That's different. So again, and I usually tell students, well, this family is hosting, because I think that may be something that you might want to know, so that you're not like, oh, who are these people?
Right.
I thought it was only, my host mother and father and the dog.
Yeah.
And then you have like 2 other people in the home, So again, I don't, I try to be transparent, I just be,
That's great. So we're a community college, and a lot of the times we get non-traditional students, students who are a little bit older, for example, or maybe they're already married. Do you ever have these circumstances where?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I don't just have the, students that are
one-offs.
It does happen where I might have somebody who's much older that comes, and maybe, they just want to study for, maybe 1 month, or and they need a homestay, or it could be a business person,
and this is
coming,
okay,
visitor. And I will place,
all right. And a married couple, for example, is that probably more
that
rare?
Would be, that's pretty rare.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a situation where that has happened. I don't think so. I believe not, but it would be okay. I would,
just have to find the right family.
Right. I just, would ask a family, well, are you okay with this? And, because again, some families, a lot of families are flexible. They're not, and also they don't have like really rigid rules, because that's another thing I look for. So, if a family's very,
it's got to be this way or the highway.
Then I'll be like, okay, maybe this is not right for you, being a host family. So sometimes I have to weed out, families I feel, maybe, they don't have the, the right, well, for me, I know what kind of families I'm looking for.
Okay.
Right? And if, they're not, it doesn't really quite align with what I think of a host family should be like, then I'm like, okay, maybe this is not right for that. Yeah.
So when you were a student, you told me you had studied in Korea. Did you stay with the host family yourself?
No, I did not. I stayed with my Korean sisters.
Ah, very cool.
Yes.
So in a way, you did stay with the
family.
family.
Because I couldn't. I had to, because when I went back to Korea, I only knew a few words.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe count to 8.
Yeah.
So my vocabulary was very limited. So it helped me with my Korean, living with my sisters, and because they can't speak English. So,
That's right. It's a good way to learn. Is all your pricing on your website? Or
Yes.
okay. So you can check out the website to get an idea of how it compares with apartments or rooms if you go rent a room directly yourself. There are other agencies in the Seattle area. I think in our view book we have 5 listed. I think so you can check any of them out, but Mia's been in this business for a while, and sounds like you have great standards, which is really good.
You know, some of my families do choose to just work with me.
Okay.
So, yeah, for whatever reason, but yeah, and that's great because I'm like, okay, well, you're a great host. Family, you know, so that makes me happy.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to encourage you guys to really consider Homestays pretty seriously. You get here, you do maybe 3-6 months. And during that, because sometimes it takes a little time to establish yourself. Some people want to see a credit history to get into an apartment. Some want to see a credit score. So you can't usually have that when you first arrive. Getting into a homestay family allows you to kind of get established and just ease in. So give it some real serious thought. It's a great way to go. And I did it as an exchange student, different kind of a scenario, but similar. It's really a great way to meet people.
And it was a really, just you really immersed yourself, right?
For sure.
Right?
And
just
networking.
Living with, Yeah,
I mean, my family would introduce me to other people, so I quickly grew a very wide net of people that I could talk to and interact with, And I got to go to parties, and we went traveling together. I mean, not all families will do that, but some will. I got very lucky. I had great families.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll be able to travel with your families. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you also will, create this bond so that you can stay in touch once you leave.
Yeah.
And there are students that invite their host families and, for various occasions, maybe,
Exactly.
students getting married or they're, something, that's,
Right.
yeah, there's a big, point in their life.
Yeah, when I travel back to Europe, I usually try to stop in and see my host families, even after all these years, because, I mean, it's been, 40 years since I did that, so it's been a long time. It can be a lifelong friendship that you build with a family. So,
and that's another reason that I have this homestay program.
Yeah,
to create that bridge. Yeah,
right.
Because we need that.
We need
that connection with people from different.
So sometimes I don't know what I don't know, and I can't ask you questions if I don't know. But is there any last pieces of advice about homestays that I haven't asked you about that you want to make sure people consider when they're looking at homestay?
I didn't mention that. Yes, so you'll have your own room, and then in the room you have a bed. I want you to have a bed,
Of course.
Yes, with a frame.
Yes,
a
a mattress
on the floor. But you'll have a closet and a desk.
Oh, okay.
Usually, if they don't have a desk in the room, then your host family needs to show you or say, "Hey, here's an area where you can study." But typically there are desks in the rooms.
Right.
Yeah, and a place to put your clothes and belongings. So I do
a dresser.
Yes, a dresser. So I do look for those things because I think those are important. And then also, is there enough light? So it's not really dark in the room, right? So that's something I think, because some people might have this idea of, is it really like in the basement of, and basements can be really nice
Super
too.
nice.
Super nice.
I've seen some nice apartments.
Yeah, don't assume that, it's in the basement of a house, because as long as it's like a finished basement, they can be really, really, really super nice. Yeah.
Swanky even.
So, but I think sometimes there are this idea about, a basement. Maybe.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't want my child to be in a basement. They think of it as dark and dreary and.
No.
Yeah. But the other thing is just realizing that in America we have all kinds of people, right? So my homestay program, it reflects the diversity of America.
Very cool.
So I really want you to think about that if you choose to, stay in a homestay. Otherwise, it could make it difficult, right? Yeah, and just be flexible. Try, different kinds of food that your host family makes. Don't be like, oh, I just want to eat this, or oh, that doesn't look so good. Try it. Just do it once. And if you don't like it, then you don't need to eat it again.
Sure.
And if you want more, say, I would like more, please.
Please.
Yeah. And usually I tell host families, please ask your students, several times, do you want more food? So that you're like, at first you might like, no. And the second time, third time, oh, yes, I would like more. Yeah. So, but just, again, the other thing is you want to get as much out of the homestay experience. So don't stay in your room.
For sure.
On your laptop or tablet or whatever. And because, again, you're not going to get the full experience if you do that. You can do that at home, right?
Why
in
come
your
to the
country.
States?
Yeah. So, again, just, while you're in your homestay, try to, participate in activities. But, of course, if you're busy, you have a test or, schoolwork you need to do, that's understandable, right? But just get to know your host families. Yeah. Ask questions.
Hey, one last question. I thought about, I'm guessing this is for sure they have to provide Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yeah. That is also part of your homestay stipend.
Okay, good.
So you'll get, internet service, you get your meals, unless you request, no meals. And on my website, it's actually just the traditional price or the stipend. It's for traditional homestays. So,
gotcha.
But if you want something other than the traditional, then you can let me know. Yeah. And then I will tell you this is,
So we're wrapping up. So tell everybody one more time the name of your website.
It's theplaceseattle.com.
Theplaceseattle.com. Yeah, check it out. If you're interested in a homestay program, this is one great option for you. There are others, so we can provide those for you as well. But all of this information, I think, is really great no matter where you end up going. And then if you've done 6 to 12 months and then you're like, I want to get an apartment, great. You can mix and match. It's totally fine. Cool. Well, I learned a lot. That's really interesting. I would love to be a homestay family myself. But
okay.
I'm in transition right now. I'll let you know when I'm settled.
Okay.
But that would be very cool.
Yes.
I think international students are just fascinating. I do these interviews all the time, and every kid has their own story, their own background. It's just so fun. I think it's really cool. Wow. I started to do these getting to know you, and then I got sidetracked, I just realized. So let me blast through these really fast. Are you ready? All Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Early bird or night owl?
Oh, let's see. Night owl.
Oh, I thought for sure you were going to say early bird. Books or movies?
Books.
What are you reading right now?
We Do Not Part.
Oh.
By a Korean writer.
Nice.
I just found out about, but yes.
All right.
And another book.
What's your other book?
The Fourth Turning is Here.
Oh.
So it's about history and how the cyclical, how it's cyclical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
By Neil Howe. Yeah.
So that one's more nonfiction. The other one's
fiction.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Texting or phone calls?
Phone calls.
Wow. I'm not too surprised. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Do you have a dog?
No.
Oh. We'll get you in.
But
you want mine? Want my dog?
when I retire.
When you retire.
I want to be a good mother. I think.
Yeah. City or country?
City.
Yeah.
I'm a city. Yeah.
Adventure or chill at home?
Adventure.
Yeah, I would guess that. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer. Summers in Seattle are awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
And last one, cooking at home or eating out?
Eating out.
I love to eat out too.
Yeah.
Do you cook though? Are you pretty good cook?
I'm doing more cooking now in the last few years.
Yeah.
Than I have, but usually I like to go out and eat and try different restaurants and food.
Yeah.
Different kinds of food. Yeah.
Now I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw on the bulletin board over here that your favorite food is spaghetti. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Hey.
Yes.
Do you have your own
meatballs.
special sauce?
I do make a pretty good sausage spaghetti.
Very cool.
Yeah, but even though I said spaghetti and meatballs, but I like my sausage.
Nice.
And,
sounds good.
Spaghetti.
I'm getting hungry. All right. Well, very good. Very last thing. We've covered a lot of territory. You've already given out lots of advice, but given your SCIE teaching experience, your homestay experience, your short-term stays, all this stuff that you've done, is there one really solid piece of advice that you would give to either families that are thinking about coming, or maybe they're existing students that are already here? What would you advise? What was your wisdom?
I think, just, take advantage of being here.
Yes, I think that's important.
Yes, I think because you're only here for a certain, length of time, and there's so much to, see and do, and not just in Seattle, but outside of Seattle, and to get an idea of what America is about. I think it's good for you to travel to different, areas of the U.S., like go to the East Coast, go south, go to New Orleans, right?
For sure. That's different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. Yeah. So I think just take advantage of what's available, right? And,
good advice.
And don't just stick with people that you know. Just venture out and, have fun.
Yeah.
And make new friends from all over the world.
Super important.
Yes.
Well, thanks for coming and spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's great. We've been talking about having you on the show for a long time, so we're glad we finally made it happen.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here every Wednesday, Seattle College's Conversations With. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Have a good day. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Conversations With is painstakingly crafted for you by the Seattle College's International Programs Department and supported by the lovely folks here on our campus. This show is produced and edited by me, Evan Franulovich. We welcome your emails and questions about coming to Seattle Colleges. Please reach out to us via our website, or just give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, as this helps others discover the show. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube at Seattle Colleges INTL. That's Seattle Colleges INTL. And be sure to check out all of the shows here on Conversations With. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.